My point being that I think that having it together, having it all figured out, and having it all figured out forever is truly an illusion that I would like to discuss more often. And I would also like to discuss the pressure to be in a constant state of win. Once you win once, you can never stop winning. Once you have one great thing happen to you, you can never let people see you on your off moments ever again. Bam. How's that for pressure?
Dude, where are you? Pick up your phone. We're going to a summer party tonight, and you're obviously invited, so call me back. Okay, love you. Bye.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Emotionally Online, the weekly summer party for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly, the one and only Maddie Drosbeck, co-hosted by my sweetie pie, Miss Mango the Gooey Girl. And right now, as you are listening to this episode, I am in Greece with 24 of you guys bopping around the island of Crete, probably drinking an Aperol Spritz and having some of the best food on the goddamn planet and hanging out with one of the best tour guides imaginable. I am so excited. As I'm recording this, I'm about to leave for the Greece trip in a couple of days. We are traveling with the same tour guide that I worked with 2 years ago. His name is Malcolm, and he is just an absolute fucking star. Like, when you go on a trip to somewhere new and you're like, God, I wish that I had someone that lives in this place that just knows it like the back of their hand, can take me to all the best spots, and is just an utter joy to be with. That's Malcolm. He is, seriously, I'm not fucking kidding, the best person for the job that he has. And I love him so much. I'm so excited to get to see him. So excited to get to meet all of you guys. Ashley and Mika are going to be there, so I get to spend some time with them too. We've got a bunch of recurring travelers coming, so I get to reunite with some of you guys that were on the Italy trip, the Greece trip, the Spain trip from years past. It's just so exciting and so wonderful, and I could not be more excited. So obviously, since I'm running around Greece at the time you're listening to this, I did not have time to record a new episode for the podcast, but I didn't want to leave you guys empty-handed. So what you're about to hear is actually an episode of the Patreon exclusive after show that aired a couple months ago. So if you like what you hear in this episode, there are plenty more episodes just like this over on the Patreon. And there's actually going to be a new Patreon exclusive after show going live today regardless. So patrons, your exclusive content is still going to be there. Non-patrons, here's an episode from a couple months ago that will feel like brand new to you because you've never heard it before. So anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting me, the podcast, the Patreon, and allowing me to host these incredible group trips that are so much fun. So I hope you guys enjoy this exclusive episode, and I will be back at it with a fresh, newly recorded podcast episode for you guys next week. I had this conversation with a friend recently, but something I've been thinking about a lot lately is like the illusion of having it all together, and how often we are sold this dream of like, we will reach a point in our lives where we have our shit together, we have it all together, and we will remain that way forever. Bewildered is so cute. Can you see him in the mirror? He's like, he has his head leaned off the cat tree and he was just looking at me. What a cutie. And then Mango's asleep over here. God, I love them. Anyways, the illusion of having it together, and like having it together once and then you will just permanently have it together, and how deeply untrue that feels. And I feel like the older that I've gotten, the more that I have like gained experience in my career, in my relationships, in my self-esteem, my hobbies, whatever it is. The more experience that I've gathered in my life, the more wins that I've had, the more good things that have happened to me, and also the more challenges that I've gone through. But I've gone through periods of life where I felt like I was like really winning. I was really on top of it. I've been through periods in my life where I felt like I had cracked the code, that I did have my shit together. And I really felt that way, and all was good, And I'm like, I cracked it. I won. I did it. I did the thing everyone told me that I had to do at some point. I got my shit together. And then my shit fell apart. And I feel like it triggered a lot of harsher feelings about myself towards myself, because I was like, oh, I did have it together at one point. It's not like I had never had my shit together. I have had my shit together. And at some point, I lost it. And I have struggled in feeling self-critical about that fact, when really that's just a very honest and real human thing that I experienced. Nobody has their shit together once and then has it together forever. Like, life is a constant cycle of having your shit together, losing it, and finding it again. But so often I think that we're sold this image of like, okay, it's fine to not have your shit together when you're in high school, when you're in college. I'll give you the first few years post grad to like not have your shit together and figure it out. But there is this like looming underlying pressure of like, okay, once you're a couple years post grad and you have like a whole adult life for yourself established, you should really have your shit figured out. But actually, no, you shouldn't. Because what the fuck does that even mean? I think about like different eras of my life where I felt like I had my shit together, so to say. For example, in like 2020, when I was working from home at Hero Cosmetics and I was doing my YouTube videos, I had just adopted Mango. I was, saving a lot of money because I wasn't doing shit. We were in the middle of COVID and I literally did not leave the house for any fucking reason. I woke up every morning at 7 a.m. without an alarm, and I got right up out of bed. I didn't look at my phone in the mornings. I went right and I showered. I did my hair, did my makeup. I journaled. I made myself a coffee. I was doing all the things that you were supposed to do if you had your shit together, and I was doing it effortlessly at that time. Granted, at that time, I had so much more brain space to dedicate to those things because I was not leaving my house. There was no pressure to leave my house. There was no opportunity to leave my house. It was literally the only thing I could do all day was hang out in my bedroom and walk from my bedroom to the bathroom to the kitchen, back to the bedroom again. Like, there was nothing else to do but the things I was doing. So, of course, at some level, they felt like they came natural. Like, my options for a kind of morning I was going to have was relatively slim. You know what I mean? But like at that time, I really felt like I had my shit together because I was saving money. I was budgeting well. I was taking care of myself. I was surviving. I was doing what I had to do, and I felt like I had it figured out. And then, the next year was when my YouTube channel started to take off, and I quit my full-time job and got to start doing all this full-time, and I just felt like I figured it out. I cracked the code. And then obviously when I started doing content full-time and working for myself, my life really changed in a major way for the better in so many ways. But it's a really emotional shift, going from having a salary where what you make is predetermined to working for yourself and having to, make it all happen for you, which I consistently did. And I'm very proud of myself for that. And I continue to. But there was a big emotional shift in starting to do this as a career. Obviously that's a lot of pressure to be put on yourself to like really figure it out, make it work every single month. And I have no benefits from this job, and everything is so fucking expensive. Health insurance is so fucking expensive. Like there was a lot of like tough parts of making that transition from having like a stable, salaried position to then not. And it's one that I feel like I weathered the storms of well, but that was a storm. That was something that I had to figure out, and that was something that sort of knocked me a little bit and made me feel like I didn't have my shit together. It was just a big emotional shift, And also like there's so much more riding on it now. I'm more like fixated on other people's reactions to me and opinions of me because this is my full-time job. And it, like, at some level, I have to care what they're saying about me and what they think about me. It was a big emotional shift that I think took me out of a lot of the routines that I had been in previously because my emotional state was strained, if you will. And also, I think creatively, this has happened to me, different timelines here, but there's been times in my life where I've felt really inspired and really creative. And then there's been other times where I felt like, what the fuck do I have to say? What the fuck am I going to make? I have literally no idea what I'm being called to make or what is inspiring me right now. Just feeling kind of lost. And I think it's hard to go through those periods of feeling lost after experiencing some of the highs. Like, to have a bunch of lows happening before you've ever experienced a high is one thing. But once you've experienced a high, to go back to experiencing a low and have the perseverance to continue pushing yourself to see the highs again is actually quite difficult. Which I think this is why all of the brilliant and gifted kids, what the fuck it's called? Brilliant and gifted is not it. Something and gifted. I don't know. Fine. Brilliant and gifted. The brilliant and gifted kids have a hard time when they get older because they feel like they got all this praise when they were a kid for being so extraordinary and gifted, and they achieved this win, and then they sort of lose that praise and they go back to being a fucking normal person the older that they get. And they feel like they're losing because they had this huge win when they were little and everyone told them that they were fucking brilliant. They get a little older. They're not doing anything special. They feel like they're losing. The courage and perseverance it takes to push through that, to find your next opportunity to win and see yourself in the light is really hard. And I feel like we don't talk about that part of it enough because it is at some level difficult to acknowledge that you are feeling a low or experiencing a low. And also it's so subjective about what that means, right? Like, how do we quantify what it means to be winning versus losing? What counts as that? Are we just talking monetarily? Are we talking opportunity wise? If you're looking at social media, are we talking views? Are we talking subscribers? What are we counting as a win versus a loss? I think it's different for every person. And also, I think it's something that largely only the individual can establish. I don't think that people from the outside looking in can identify what is a win versus a loss. I think it is entirely self-determined, what is resonating with you in that way versus what isn't. But in general, I think it's really hard to experience a win, experience having it together, figuring your shit out, having some kind of stability or success in your life, losing it for whatever reason. Not even for whatever reason. It's just part of life. Life is not one straight shot upwards. It is ups and downs, highs and lows. It is completely nonlinear. To experience a high, to go back to feeling low again, and the kind of personal shame that you may carry with you in navigating through that low in search of your next high, if you even have the courage to search for your next high again. My point being that I think that having it together, having it all figured out, and having it all figured out forever is truly an illusion that I would like to discuss more often. And I would also like to discuss the pressure to be in a constant state of win. Once you win once, you can never stop winning. Once you have one great thing happen to you, you can never let people see you on your off moments ever again. Bam. How's that for pressure? But one of my friends said something to me about wanting to have their shit together like me. And I was like, whoa. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about this. You're perceiving me as being someone who has everything figured out, when in reality, I absolutely fucking don't. And I have even sat here over on my end of things being like, I'm so humiliated that I don't have things figured out. Or maybe I thought that I had things figured out at some point, but then I lost the plot somewhere along the line. But it wasn't that I lost the plot. It was just that I lived a real complex human life, and it wasn't a straight shot to the freaking top. You know what I mean? I feel like there are so few opportunities for like real human discussion about these things, particularly when talking about perceived success, because people feel so much shame about saying that like it wasn't a straight shot, and like their pathway to discovering what success looks like to them was not just one and done. Or if people are willing to talk about this, they're only willing to talk about it once they have reached success at some point later on in their life. You know what I mean? You always see people that are successful being like, yeah, it was a winding road. It was, huge wins and huge losses, but here we are now. But what about the people that are in the middle of the loss? Can we talk to them? I'd like to talk to them. I think so often people don't want to talk about like their perceived ideas of success or failure, because if they share that with other people, then they're letting people perceive them as being a success or a failure. Because like I said, I feel like a lot of it is very internal. You decide what counts as success versus failure. And if you share that with other people, then other people get to judge you in the same way you're judging yourself. And that is quite vulnerable, Sometimes that's how I feel about a lot of things on the internet that I talk about. Like I'll talk about very vulnerable things that are impacting my self-esteem, things I'm grappling with in therapy. And I'll get to the end of the conversation and I'm like, I really just gave somebody out there who doesn't like me all the ammo they needed to hurt my fucking feelings. Sometimes I finish sharing something and I'm like, with the right audience, this is awesome. I love sharing. I love having all these reflections and, indulging in more vulnerable and personal topics, because I think it's just helpful and cool to have these things not be like shoved to the backs of our minds because of shame. I think it's cool to be able to share in these more uncertain parts of life with people and to do it publicly and proudly. I think there's like good impact in doing that. And also, sometimes I will say things and I'll sit back and be like, okay, but if the wrong audience hears what I'm about to say, they can absolutely use that to like really get under my skin. If the right people hear it, you guys are all the right people. You're here. You guys are the patrons. You guys are the people that I trust see me as like a full person. You're interested in hearing what I have to say and sitting with it. You like my content, you resonate with it. You guys are the audience that I am talking to, that I feel comfortable talking to. And then I think about other people who listen to the content that are not in that audience of people, not in the demographic of people that I'm wanting to talk to, hearing some of the vulnerable things I'm sharing, being like, if they fucking hate me, now they have all the ingredients to ruin my day. They know every single insecurity I've ever had in my life. They know exactly what to say to me to get under my skin. And guess what? They use it to their advantage. Sometimes I will read a hate comment from someone and I'm like, you know too much about me. You wrote this hate comment. You crafted it up in a fucking scientific lab, okay? You were like, how can I most ruin this bitch's day? How can I ruin this bitch's week, okay? How can I make sure that this is the only thing this bitch talks about for the next 5 calendar days? All right? Like, some people, I read the comments and I'm like, you did your research, you motherfucker. You researched how to best get under my skin, you fucking asshole. So in that way, I understand why people wouldn't want to share their reflections on the lows while they are still in the low. But I'm like, how do we push past these people who are just like demons who ruin all the opportunity for genuine closeness among us? Because I think these conversations are so important to have, because to only hear conversations about failure or the lows, or not even failure, but like perceived failure, to only hear about those stories from the mouths of people that are experiencing immense success, I feel like is actually not that inspiring. I get that some people might be inspired by that and be like, oh, but they pushed through it and they still ended up successful in the end. But that's not really that inspiring to me. I think what is more inspiring to me is to see someone who's going fucking through it, who perceives themselves as experiencing some kind of failure or low, and is still 10 toes down, committed to leaning into courage and chasing after whatever it is that they want. or working towards, being able to see a win again. And also accepting that like your self-worth and your value, your, contribution to the world around you doesn't lie in the fact that this win existed and now it's gone and you could get it back again or not. Like, I don't know. I'm saying a lot of words. Are we understanding what I'm saying? I was talking to my therapist about this because obviously you guys know recently I've just been so inspired by my younger self, and I feel like I've been taking so many pages out of her book and just like looking at the person I used to be and the courage that I had when I was younger, that I didn't even realize was so courageous until now. But like when I look at my journey online as a creator and seeing how there have been seasons of my online life where things were really low, and I've also had seasons where things were really high, and now I'm somewhere in the middle of those two seasons. But even looking at my time online, like there has been high highs and low lows, and I'm kind of in a very neutral in the middle period right now, which is fine. But sometimes that stresses me out too and starts to feel like a failure in and of itself, because I'm like, okay, well, this definitely isn't one of the highs and it's not one of the lows either, but it's like right in the middle. So I'm like, the tides could turn at any given moment. Like, are we going up? Are we going down? What's happening? But I often will look back at like before my channel blew up in 2021, before I had those handful of videos all get traction back to back to back to back to back, I had been losing subscribers for 3 years. Every day I logged on and saw anywhere from 2 to 10 people had unsubscribed to me. I'm not kidding. Every single day for 3 years. I did not gain subscribers. I only lost. Every time I opened up YouTube Studio, it was in the negatives. Negative, negative, negative. Done. Dunzo. Get out of here. And I was really bothered by it at that time. I was really bothered by it. I was so frustrated. But the point is that I never stopped. I never gave up. I always had the courage to persevere. And thank God I did, because at year 11, after 11 years of making videos, my channel, hit a sweet spot. And I was able to grow my channel to the point where I'm able to do it as a career and have been since that point, which is fucking incredible, right? But that year that everything skyrocketed up, it's not like everything has maintained since that point, because I've changed. The things that I'm making have changed. Who I am has changed. So naturally the audience changes as well. And I go through sort of like an awkward phase, a rebirth period, which I do feel is the one that I'm currently in and have been in for like the last year and a half, probably, if I'm being honest. I just feel like I'm changing and things are different. And naturally I'm in this sort of shift phase in my career, which I've talked about on here before. And that has brought up feelings of like failure to me as well, because I can't deliver on this like not promise, but like people came for one thing and maybe I can't keep up with that forever, and I don't resonate with it anymore, and I have to change and do something different, and maybe they don't want to be here for that, and I have to learn how to accept that and be okay with that shift after experiencing such a high. And I go back to the version of myself that lost subscribers every day for 3 years and the courage that I had to keep going, and that is still who I am. Please. Me? Okay, you'd have to fucking shoot me to get me to give up. That's not the point. Point is that like I've done this before. I've been through this before, but 20 times worse. So I'll be fine this time. The only difference here is that I know what it's like on the upswing. I know what a win feels like now. I know what a win looks like now. So there's something, it's like more high stakes to think about the low periods, the failures, and even like acknowledging that to other people. Even talking about this right now, I feel kind of weird. Like saying out loud that that I've been bothered at all or had any kind of feelings about not being in a constant state of an upswing. Like, it's not reasonable, but I do feel like that is kind of the version of success that is sold to us. And then when that's not what your life looks like, when your path towards wherever you're supposed to be isn't just like a straight shot, you start to feel worse about yourself, or like, I don't know. I don't even really like using the word failure, but I don't know what else to use to describe this. Is what I'm saying making sense? Like, it just feels, I don't know, like we're expected to figure it all out, have our shit together, and stay that way permanently. And if we don't, for whatever reason, if we have it and then we lose it, if we get small wins and then maybe major losses, it like means something deeper about us as people. And that's not something I resonate with, but it is something that feels like that's the story that's told past a certain age, past, the point where you're allowed to fuck up and not know any of the answers. I'm 28 now. I still don't necessarily think that I should be expected to know all the answers, but I'm old enough that there's no like obvious association. Like, oh, I'm in high school, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Oh, I'm in college, I don't know. Oh, I just graduated college, I'm still figuring it out. I just entered the adult world, what the fuck? And then you're like 28. I'm like, I graduated college 6 years ago and I still don't know what the fuck is going on. Sorry, I don't. So, I don't know. That's been something I've been thinking about a lot. I wish that we could talk more openly about this stuff without all the shame popping up. But I think that some people are just bad vibes and they would ruin this conversation if it was had in any kind of larger scale, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of interesting things that could be said here and about this. But one person with bad vibes getting into this conversation derails the whole thing and makes everyone self-conscious about themselves. Do you know what I mean? So then it's like we keep this shit locked down and we don't talk about it until we reach a level of success that we can talk about it because, see, I ended up doing incredible things after I experienced this rough moment. See, I'm past it now. I'm over it. Why can't we talk about it in the middle when it's happening in real time? Because some people will take advantage of it and use it against you to make you feel like shit, which is the worst. The worst. I saw a TikTok on my phone because obviously I was on TikTok this weekend since my freaking video blew up. What the heck? So I was on TikTok this weekend and I saw a video. It's just like a screenshot of a podcast, I think, and it has writing with the quotes of what was being said at this moment in the podcast from a creator called Ayandastood, Ayandastood. And what she is quoted saying was, "What if you chose to be judged? What if that was part of your becoming? I choose to be judged because I choose to honor my soul's calling in this lifetime. Every artist you admire has been judged. They insisted on being seen anyway. Embarrassment and judgment are part of your rising. Surrender to the medicine, babes. You are ready." And this felt like a very apt TikTok to show up on my feed this week because it felt like it was combining two things I've talked about recently. One very publicly and the other on the Patreon just last week. And I think the combining of these two things made me be like, hold on, wait a second. I'm thinking we're having a little brain meld happening here, okay? So first part of that obviously being that I just did a video all about your aversion to cringe is making you uninteresting. Cringe is a good thing. You have to sort of accept these parts of yourself. Stop pushing yourself in boxes and trying to be cool all the fucking time. It's not working. It's actually making you uninteresting. And to be cringe, to be so uniquely yourself, to charge towards the things that you're passionate about, to have ambition and big feelings and big goals and to share those things and be vulnerable is like the most wonderful gift we have in this lifetime. And you should never feel embarrassed for showing up as your whole unapologetic self. Between my discussion about cringe and my discussion about being previously gifted and grappling with failure and how to talk about failure or perceived failure with other people in a way that doesn't make you want to crawl inside of yourself and literally disappear into thin air. Merging these two things together to be delivered the profound reminder that you can choose to be judged. The question of like, what if you chose to be judged? What if that was part of your becoming? That wording, when I read it, I was like, huh, okay, wait, this is kind of changing things for me. Because I think that so often I will be, I don't know, I definitely do care what people think about me. We all do. And I've said that out loud many times in my life. I'm like very aware that I care what people think about me. I'm a very sensitive person. I care about being understood. It's not that I care what people think about me in the sense of like, I need people to like me. I care what people think about me in the sense that I want to be understood. If people understand me completely and still don't like me, I'm kind of fine with that. I just want people to understand me completely. And I think I have a lot of stress about someone not understanding me or not seeing me or, choosing to be willfully daft and only hearing parts of what I say or, infusing their own perception about someone that is similar to me, someone they know that I remind them of onto me when it's like, well, that's not me at all. And just sort of assigning things that don't feel truthful to me onto me. This is a part of life. That's something that I just have to accept. There's never going to be a point of time in my life where I am completely and totally understood and everyone just gets me so perfectly and no one ever gets me wrong. That is a part of life that I am continuously trying to accept. But I think that sometimes I will even feel like, for example, my recent video that I posted called I've Never Been Somebody's Girlfriend. I was really excited about that video, and it is one of my favorite videos that I've made in a long time, and it felt really honest and very well spoken. I feel like if people really listened to that whole video, they probably would understand me, but of course, there are many people that will not watch that whole video, will not listen to that whole video, will only take a portion of what I say and then make a conclusion or assumption about me based on that one portion, even though they really should listen to the whole thing to totally understand what I was trying to say. Anyways, posting that video was nerve-wracking in a way because I was nervous about what people's perception of me was going to be or what their judgment of me was going to be. And I think I often feel that way with some of the things I post, depending on how like truly intimate they are to me, how close to my heart it is. I think that video is a subject matter that like I can be sensitive about depending on what people say. And even like, don't even bother looking at the comments in that video. I try to delete most of the nasty ones if I see it, but I also try not to see it. So I'm sure there's many that I have missed because I simply haven't looked at them. But, there's a bunch of people that will say nasty things about my body on videos like that. So fear not, I have seen those. And I think sometimes I get like anticipatory anxiety, understanding that stuff like that is going to come, that kind of judgment is going to come in response to me being vulnerable and sharing this part of my heart. Sometimes I feel like I'm giving people all the ammo they need to hurt my feelings. And in many ways, yeah, I completely am. But I choose to still go forward and make this kind of content and share this part of my life to solidify this part of my life into memory on the internet, because I think that there's something beautiful in that, in sharing the more quiet, vulnerable parts of life, the parts of life that people would make you feel shame or judgment towards. To get to share in that with other people actually feels like a reclaiming of some kind. And I think that it's important to share these parts of life with people. I have felt so much comfort and solace in the moments where I have been able to share in these conversations with other people rather than always having to, have them by myself. But there's been a lot of other moments online where I've felt similarly, where I've just had like a fear of what people were going to say, a fear of judgment, and like a real hope that enough people understood me that it would make me not pay attention to the judgment. But something I've learned about myself is that I'm always going to pay attention to the judgment. And even if it's one bad comment, don't worry, I will find a way to fixate on that one fucking bad comment. My parents were here like a couple weeks ago and I got literally one bad comment, and I talked about it to my dad for like 2 hours while my mom was getting a hair appointment. And my dad was like, how are you still hung up on this? And I was like, I know it is a prison to be inside my head sometimes, and it is something that I'm actively working on in therapy and have been for so many years now. But sometimes I feel like my progress in learning to get better with judgment is slow moving, and I'm not always as far along in that journey to getting more comfortable with judgment as I would hope that I would be. But I think part of what makes it so difficult is because it's something that feels so far out of my control. And I feel like I am posting these things and sharing my life and sharing my creativity, which that in itself is quite vulnerable. I'm sharing these parts of myself and like bearing a part of my heart. And I can't control how people react to me. I can't control how long people watch, or if what I say resonates, if they really understand me as a person. And I can't control like their humanity at all, or how kind and, generous they're going to be in their response to whatever it is that I said. People bring their own baggage to the comment section, if you will. So there was something about the idea of choosing to be judged that almost felt like an immediate relief to me, where it was like, this idea of judgment not being something that is unavoidable or uncontrollable, but rather something that we actively choose to go towards because it is a part of our becoming and our growth. That was a perspective shift that I had not considered. Judgment always felt to me like, the downside of something that has so many pros. The one con on, the long list of pros that come from being vulnerable and sharing these things with you guys and getting to do it in a creative way. Like, accepting the judgment was just the one con that I was going to have to learn to live with at some point. But to view it as something that I am choosing to do rather than something that is just forced upon me by default is kind of revolutionary. To start viewing it as like, I am choosing to be judged. I am choosing to be this vulnerable, to be so unapologetically myself. I am choosing to be judged because it is that important for me to show up as myself and honor this creative version of myself, to document this kind of honesty, to, commemorate this version of me that is reflecting on these things. The 28-year-old version of myself that can sit here and talk about singlehood and never having been a girlfriend and moving on from, my no contact crush, who I am, still processing the end of a year later. To talk about and sort of solidify all of these things into memory is a really cool thing and a really brave thing. And what if I accepted that I was choosing judgment and that it was actually important to me to choose judgment, to let other people have whatever opinions that they were going to have about me, because to do the act of creating, to do the thing, the sharing, the connecting, to platform that kind of sensitivity and truth, so that not only I can free myself a little bit and feeling like, oh God, thank God, this isn't something I have to be ashamed of. This isn't something I have to keep to myself. I feel like so much of my content in that vein is actually more about freeing myself from shame than anything else. I talk about these things because to talk about them is to free yourself from the pressure of them, to open up that dialogue. And it's awesome to see it resonate with other people and to you know, make it so that even one person out there doesn't feel ashamed for never having been someone's girlfriend. That's a plus as well. But it's also about freeing myself from that shame. Like, I am right there in that too. And to share this story about having felt shame and slowly not feeling that shame anymore, by doing that, I'm pushing myself further along on the anti-shame train and maybe passing that off to someone else in the process. Yes, I will be judged by other people, but it's important for me to experience that as well. And yes, I could see it as like, okay, well, I just have to accept this judgment. This is like the bad part that comes with all the good. But there's something about framing it as it's something that I am actively choosing. I'm choosing to accept your judgment because it is that important to me to honor my own calling to unpack this shame, to share in unpacking this shame with other people. It is that important to me that I choose to be judged by you. That's kind of so profound. Like, so profound. Every artist you admire has been judged. They insisted on being seen anyway. Embarrassment and judgment are part of your rising. Surrender to the medicine. There's just something really liberating in the idea that I could be choosing judgment, that I have been choosing judgment all along, and I didn't even know it. Is what I'm saying making sense? I just feel like when I saw that TikTok, I was like, whoa, that's a game changer in terms of reframes when it comes to like grappling with and accepting judgment from other people and people being wrong about you. Like, I famously struggle with people being wrong about me. I read a comment of someone saying something so unbelievably wrong about me, and I really struggle with like holding myself back from correcting them. And I've gotten better at it. Okay, I've gotten much better at it. I used to be very impulsive with my responses to people who get me so wrong, and I would argue with people about me. And at one point, I think I just kind of stopped doing that. And I'm like, if it's really bothering me, I will just fucking delete the comment. But a lot of the times now, I just let it rock. Go ahead, type your comment, be wrong about me loudly and publicly. That's fine. And I try to just let it go and let people have their opinions about me. But for so long, I found it so hard not to try to correct people and fight with them about me. But then it reached a point where I'm like, what are you doing? Are you fighting with people about yourself? Like, obviously, I'm fucking right. I spend every day with myself. I spend every day of my fucking life with me. Okay? So unless you are my best friend, my mother, or my therapist, I'm not accepting any kind of like deep dive into who I am as a person. This person who has consumed maybe 5 minutes of content from me on the internet and then decided to write a nasty comment hypothesizing about all of these parts of my brain, psychoanalyzing me and getting me so wrong. Like, there is actually no point in engaging with someone like that and trying to fight with them for why they're actually wrong about me. They don't have to be right about me. I don't care about them being right about me. I do not fucking know them. I do not fucking know them. This random stranger on the internet being right about me actually is so inconsequential. Outside of this moment where their comment has pissed me off in some way, I am never going to think about them again. I'm still, even now, I'm not really thinking about them because it's just an anonymous account. So it could be fucking anyone. A robot could be talking to me. I don't fucking know. I could be getting mad at an AI robot right now. I literally have no way of knowing that because a random anonymous account is writing something absurd to me. And I'm going to spend any amount of my time fighting back with that person, trying to make them see me when they've already made it clear that they have no intention of giving me the benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, they wouldn't be commenting something nasty on someone's post that they met through the internet for a grand total of 500 seconds, if that. That's even me being generous. Like, I don't need to earn the acceptance or the understanding of people that have chosen to go through life being that purposefully fucking daft and nasty for no reason. But when I tell you it's been a journey to get to this place, and that even sometimes I find it hard not to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'll be honest, sometimes I still do. Sometimes I still do. When someone comments something unbelievable about me, sometimes I will still comment back and be like, what on God's green earth made you think this was true? Because sometimes I'm like, I just want to know. I just want to know where you got this from. Because you are so wrong. And it pisses me off. But sometimes, and this is like a separate thing, but I guess it connects to why this feels like a profound like fear to me. But sometimes I think my like fixation on being understood, I get scared that like someone might meet me in real life and then go home and watch a ton of my videos, watch a bunch of my content, and learn so much about me through the internet that it then robs me the experience of getting to teach someone about me and be understood in real life. Sometimes I worry that like if I go on a date with someone and then they consume a bunch of my content online, which is only natural, I get it. But there's some part of me that sometimes is like, am I being robbed of some understanding if someone is consuming this much of me virtually? Even if they're understanding me when they watch the content. Sometimes it's hard for me to be like, I don't know. And then I enter this space where I'm like, do I actually want any of my friends or family to watch my videos? Sometimes I'm like, actually don't watch them. Not because I don't want them to, but because I'm like, I would rather just have this conversation with you in person. Does that make sense? I don't know. It's like a weird part of being online, I guess. And like having people meet me when so much of my life has been chronicled on the internet. It's interesting, I guess, meeting new people and seeing how their understanding of me, my experience of their understanding of me shifts. Based on how much of their understanding I actually get to experience firsthand versus how much of it they are consuming when I'm not around. And I don't even really know that they know. You know? Like sometimes it was like jarring to me when I would go on dates with people and they'd be like, oh, I watched this video. Or they would reveal they watched some video of mine weeks after they watched it. And I'm like, oh my God, you knew all of that? And I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you for watching my videos. And also, I wish that you brought it up sooner. Because it's like if you watch the video and then you bring it up with me and we get to have this moment of understanding and connection, that's awesome. That like my creativity could procure a wonderful conversation. That's amazing. But people often don't bring it up. You know, they just consume it in silence. And then I'm like, was I robbed of something? Was I robbed of some connection there because they learned something about me online and now they're never going to ask me that question in real life because they already know the answer, but I don't know that they already know the answer? Anyways, now I'm just getting like deep into this rabbit hole of what ifs. But that actually does happen when I meet new people and they watch my videos and then, yeah, I'm robbed of some kind of in-person interaction, connection, which is why now I don't tell people about my videos when I first meet them in like a romantic dating context. Anyways, this is not me saying that I dislike when friends and family watch my videos or consume my content, more just that I worry that when new people meet me that I may be missing out on some part of the being understood because they are experiencing some getting to know me when I'm not around. Which I don't mind, but I kind of wish that people would just bring it up. But often people don't bring it up because they're like, oh, it's so weird that I was like stalking you on the internet. I'm like, actually, it wasn't. It wasn't weird at all because I post these videos so that people will watch them. So no, it's not weird to me that you watched videos of mine. I would actually prefer you bring it up to me if you did, so that we can talk about it and I can feel understood in person rather than just someone learning something about me and being like, oh, well, I'm never going to ask her about it. I'm never going to talk to her about it because I already know the answer. When we could have a beautiful moment in real life. Anyways, those are kind of two separate thoughts, but sort of connected because it's all about my fear of being misunderstood and my deep longing towards being understood, and how judgment plays a role in, my pursuit towards understanding. But this reframe of like choosing to be judged and having that be something that I am actively choosing in my pursuit of finding understanding and community and like the right people for me, whether that is in dating, in friendship, online, in terms of audience for my work, like in my pursuit of understanding, accepting that I am also in pursuit of judgment, that I am choosing it, and that is something that I am okay with because I've clearly been doing this for a long fucking time. That's kind of awesome. That it's like, not only is it this reframe of what if you choose to be judged, but like I have been choosing to be judged and I didn't even realize that I was. And that in itself is courageous and worth acknowledging. I don't know. Is what I'm saying making sense? I feel like I'm just rambling on and on. So anywho's, if you are struggling with the fear of being judged or a fear of being misunderstood, know that I am right there with you, whatever the context may be, regardless of if yours is exactly the same as mine or not. It is tough to accept judgment and, I don't know, maybe the reframe of choosing to be judged and taking back some of that power could be helpful. There's something about judgment being something out of your control or something you're powerless to that doesn't feel so great. But when you reframe it as being like, no, I'm choosing this. This is in my control and I choose judgment. I'm choosing to be judged. It like is immediately like a lift off my shoulders. I can't even explain it. We're reaching that time of year where the sun starts to come in around this time and it hits my disco ball, which doesn't happen year round, but this time of year it does. I don't think you can really see it on camera right now, but the disco ball stuff is starting to come around the apartment. That's like the best part of spring and summer to me, is having the disco ball show around the apartment as the sun is going down from like 5 to 8 o'clock. It is literally the best. Look at this girl. I love you. I love you, honey bunches. All right. It's time for me to cook myself some dinner and go watch RuPaul's Drag Race. So thanks for hanging out with me, listening to my ramblings and musings. Who knows if they made sense or not, but hopefully it made sense to at least one of you. So I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being members of the Patreon, and I will see you in the Discord.